All right. So I actually just answered a question in a question and answer. Somebody wanted it clarified if this was K-12 or K-2. So just because we mentioned both, I actually teach for CAVA, California Virtual Academies, which is like a lot of different states have it. It's part of K-12, if you've heard of K-12. So that answers that, I guess. This webinar, though, is focused towards kindergarten through second grade teachers. But I know, like yesterday, we had some teachers that were in Head Start and pre-K and TK, and we had some third and fourth grade teachers. So I would say this, if you are an older grade teacher or whatnot, you could still apply. I would not say that you couldn't use some of this information. So I hope that answers your question. So, all right, I'm going to move forward then. So I'm going to share my screen. If anything does pop up that's funny or you know, just please say something because you know, it may not be just you. Okay, so this is TK through second virtual lesson planning. If you were with us, if you were with if you were with us yesterday, I kind of focused it more on how to take a lesson and put it online or to make it virtual, whereas this is more of kind of the planning. So that's why I say that this is still very useful. Well, it may be useful, it may not be as useful. But it just depends kind of what you're looking for. And I know right now everybody's kind of needing different help. I've spoke to my niece's teacher who needed help with Google Classroom. I spoke to another teacher that needed help just kind of figuring out how to integrate videos. I had another teacher who just has not used a webcam at all for any reason. So I know we all kind of have different needs right now. So feel free, especially at the end, if I don't answer something and you're very curious or you just, you know, want something clarified, just let me know. And I'm more than happy to reach out. Okay, so some things are easier to do non-virtually or without help, right? But adapting them, it really isn't impossible. When you think of your lessons, think outside the box a little bit and go back to what you learned. I mean, I was telling them yesterday, actually, I think every webinar I've done, I've told everybody that one of my biggest things when I started to teach online was that everything I've done as a teacher has prepared me for this. I've gone back to my time when I was with special ed. I went back to my time when I was a tutor. You know, I taught fifth grade before kindergarten. I taught in a private school. I've taught in public school. It all helps you. So don't be afraid to kind of look back if you have that experience, or even just experience with your own children if you have children. I actually teach by standard using a curriculum map. So you might teach differently, right? You might be teaching different skills depending on what level you teach or what grade. You might be wanting to focus on concepts, or maybe you work as a team in your grade level, you know. The first thing you want to do, though, is to make a plan or figure out what is needed. What are you, if your administrator or school or principal wants you to focus on certain aspects, say, okay, well, what can I do to make this virtual? What do I want the students to get out of it, right? Just like you would do with anything you're going to teach, right? So for example, and this is actually something I just taught. So, or I've actually, no, I changed it. Sorry, I apologize. I was going to actually do a future lesson and I ended up saying, no, you know what? I'm going to go with the lesson that I've already taught so that I have had the experience. So, you know, this may look very familiar to some of you kindergarten teachers out there. You know, this is a California state standard: solve addition and subtraction word problems and add and subtract within 10, right? By using objects or drawings to represent the problem. So you may have already taught this earlier this year as well, or even if you're a younger level or older level or something else, you know, you could probably think of a standard that kind of aligns with this, right? So think of your standard. This is how I do it. I would think, how would I want to teach this in a classroom? Okay. You could do a mini lesson, you could do some practice, and then an assessment, right? That's honestly when I teach online, because I do this all day. This is my regular teaching job. I teach from my house. I'm not in a classroom at all, like anymore. But you know, I can still adapt it to what I would think I would do if I were back in my brick and mortar classroom, my regular classroom. You may not have the same tools, and that's where you kind of have to get a little more creative, but that's not impossible. And I'm going to go into that a little bit. But, um, you know, you could even think about how you want to do it. Do you want to do a small group? Do you want to do individual practice and then an exit ticket? Um, you could do these things. You just, you know, you have to think, do I want to make multiple videos? Do I want to invite some students to watch me at a certain time? Do I want to meet with students individually because, you know, some of them need that? You know, I'm not sure what is required because I've heard so many different requirements. I've heard of things like some admin is saying, you know what, do what you can, to, okay, guys, you know, them telling their teachers, you need to do this, 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 and this, or this many hours, or this many lessons. And so, you know, you do have to abide by those, but you can still kind of, there's a little bit of wiggle room. There can be. So, all right. So anyway, I am home. Okay. So I do think of my learners. I think of, okay, and I've only met my students a couple times. You may be, you know, you may have spent all the time with your students, you know. I'm sure most of you did. And so you kind of have more of a well-rounded look at them versus me. I kind of get what their parents tell me, what I've observed in our live classes. I've met them in person a couple times, but that's not really something I do a lot of. So I have to look at a lot of data and look at their assessments and stuff like that to kind of put them into leveled groups. So you could do that with your students too. I mean, when you're in a classroom, you do that, right? You have your kind of lower kids, you have your higher kids, you have grade, you know, they're at grade level, you have your ELs, your SPED. That's kind of where you want to maybe offer one lesson with many structures. Okay, and so I'll go into that a little bit. I just saw a question and answer pop up. Oops, I kind of went backwards. I was trying to click it. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know where the chat box or the question and answer went. It disappeared. So I'll grab it in a second. But I would think, how would I teach this in my classroom, right? Oh, it just went. Okay. So it all depends how you want to teach, right? Do you want to do the big group? Do you want to do smaller level groups? Do you want to make one video, or do you want to make several videos? Maybe you make one video where you know, you're doing the same math lesson about, you know, addition, word problems, because maybe you even break it up like that. You say, okay, you know what? If I go back to the, oh, there it is. If I go back to the standard, right? It's oops, I can break this up, right? I can break it up into addition word problems. I can break it up into subtraction word problems. I can break it up and say, okay, we're only going to go up to 5 items. We're going to go up to 2 items. You know, it all kind of depends on the student need, right? Just like if you were in a regular classroom, you might give all of the kids something to work on, but then you pull the 2 that are just kind of not getting it aside to work with them, right? Or you might put them with an aide if you have a, like a paraprofessional or something. I know some people have them, some people don't, but you know, yeah, so that you can do that too when you're teaching online or from distance. You just have to maybe do it a little bit differently with a video or sending extra support. So let me go back. So, okay, so I go back to my math lesson, okay? There's my standard. And I say, okay, do I want to give them a quick overview of something that we did in class? So maybe this is a standard that you went over back in, I think I went back, yeah, this was like January or February, I want to say, when I started to do this. um I might say, okay guys, you know I know some people, I'm looking at assessments, because maybe you did assessments right before you left your classroom. Maybe you haven't done any kind of assessment. Could you do an informal assessment? Yeah, why couldn't you? You could say, I mean, okay, I've been asked to, how do you know the kids aren't getting help from their parents? Or how do you know Big Brother isn't doing it for them? You kind of have to take that leap. It's unfortunate we don't have that kind of, and I don't mean it the way it sounds, but control to see. But you gotta kind of reach out with a leap of faith and say, okay, you know what? I hope these students are completing this on their own. You could, right? You could say, hey, try doing this math problem for me and send it back. You could even actually ask the parents, were they able to do it by themselves? You know, um, if they weren't, what did they need? You could even, there are surveys. There's actually, it's called Survey Monkey. I use it actually all the time to pull my parents. And then, you could just throw something out there and say, okay, what do we need the most help on? Or what did your child need help with? And there's various ways you can do that. But anyway, so maybe you want to start with something you did do in class, kind of bring back that prior knowledge, right? And then start from there. Or maybe you could email them a drawing or a diagram. Like, if it's something that you're not sure was covered, or maybe you're not sure if a video is going to cover it, don't be afraid to just take a piece of paper or whiteboard and draw it and take a picture with your cell phone and send it to them. They're gonna want and appreciate what you can give them. So that's the key word is exposure. You want to expose them to as much that you can, because that's what's going to help them right now, whether or not they take advantage of it, whether or not the parent utilizes it. Well, it's it um okay, so again, I do what's comfortable for me, okay? And I think you should do what's comfortable for you. If you prefer, I don't make videos with me in them. I just don't feel comfortable. Maybe you like the idea of making a video of yourself. Maybe you want your students to be able to see you, to give them that kind of comfort. Even them hearing your voice. Think about every day, those really good days where you felt like everyone was just happy to be together. That's how, if you think about it right now, they're kind of going through all of their stuff at home. They're seeing adults react ways that maybe aren't the most comforting, you know, and hearing your voice might be the highlight of their day, or seeing you. So, that's something to keep in mind. But anyway, I direct students to complete work after or during the lesson. Okay, so I mean, if you're doing a live class with them, or even if they're watching a video of you doing something, I would even say at the beginning of the lesson or at the beginning of the video, go ahead and take, just like you would in your classroom, everybody take out their math book and turn to page 5, or everyone take out a sheet of paper and get a pencil ready. Giving them those directions is just as important on a video, or in some sort of, like, I know Zoom's been banned some places, but something like Zoom, where you would still give them the directions, right? And then I would give them alternative methods. So I would even say something like, well, if you don't have a green crayon, use a blue crayon. Or if you don't have a whiteboard, use a piece of paper. There are other ways. You just have to kind of help them understand that there are other ways. Like, don't just not do it because you don't have something. You just have to be creative, right? If they have their assignments, you can always make a video and explain what to do, as well as the concept, so that the parent can also see what's needed. So I find myself giving my parents so much instruction at the beginning of the year. If you think about the beginning of your school year, what do you work the most on? You work on procedures, right? Procedures and routines. It's the same thing for us online. And so if you think about it, what you have to kind of do is go back through that and say, okay, what kind of routines or procedures do I want my students to follow when they're at home for distance learning? And and you know what, you might be like, you know what, I would have enforced something like this when I was in the classroom, but now, you know, with everybody being different places, you may not enforce the same things or the same you know, routines. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So I made a video for my students to watch on their own. I found that and if you were with us yesterday, you saw this. It's not perfect, but it's something I made on a whim because I found my students just needing more help with addition and they were kind of lost. So I'm going to play it for you real quick. I'm not sure how to mute myself, so I'm just going to be really quiet.
5 people got in the other car. 4 plus 5 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Woo.
All right. So were you guys able to see it? So you saw that probably yesterday if you were with us. If you weren't with us, okay, good.
Yeah, we were able to see it.
Super. You know, I just used some toys that were in my house. You know, you could use pencils, you could use carrot sticks, you could use lines on a piece of paper. I mean, it's really just about using what you have, you know. I know so many teachers haven't been able to go back to their classrooms, or, you know, they're very limited, or their students are very limited. You know, and that's okay. I think one of the parts of this too is accepting, you know what, this isn't the classroom. This isn't the same thing. You know, is it less or worse? No, it doesn't have to be. It's just different, you know? So this video, like I said, I seriously, I think I was sitting at my computer and just said, you know what? I noticed so and so and so and so could not, you know, they just were having issues. I'm going to show them, and that's what I did. So keep in mind that it could be something as kind of just quick. I mean, that was a minute, you know, and all I did was use my phone. I was holding my phone in one hand and I was putting little people in the car. And yes, it does show up forward. We talked about, sorry, I know I had some people yesterday the same, so that's why. But yeah, it you know, and then you can also use your camera, your webcam as a camera. And yes, it does tape backwards, but when you play it, it shows forward. So there are different tools you can use to make these videos, and there are lots and lots of websites where you can upload them and make them safe for the students to share. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's something I made for the students to just watch. And
So
you know,
Angela,
go ahead.
this is Lisa. Quick question.
Mhm.
So do you show this during your lesson, or is it something for them to refer to while they're doing their homework or
Well,
other?
so it's fun. So I actually made this, let's see, when did I make this one? I think I made this 2 or 3 years ago now. And when I first made it, I used it as like an additional support video, if that, so haha, addition, no pun intended. You know,
Right.
yeah, sorry. Um, yeah, so I figured out that these two students in particular were having issues kind of understanding, like they couldn't see it per se. So I sent this video. I ended up sending it to the whole class because I just was like, you know what, guys, just to kind of solidify, you know, look, this is what it looks like when you kind of do a word problem, you know. I mean, because I mean, you could add all kinds of adjectives and verbs to this to make it more interesting, you know, if you were writing it out. But you know, I just showed them. I actually ended up making a subtraction video too, because I had parents say, oh, hey, can you make a subtraction video as well? Oh, sure, it takes a minute. I mean, why not? um, but anyway, I think this last year I did include it as part of my class. And I said, oh, hey, everybody, I have a video to show you about addition. And I used it as kind of my, my hook. No, hook's wrong word, but you know, my beginning, my introduction to addition, like, hey guys, look, you know. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't use it or make one for either purpose, you know. Um, yeah.
Okay. And do you use live demonstrations as well, or just
I,
solo
you
video?
know, not so much this year just because of the way I'm teaching, but I could see, I mean, I have in the past. I know some people have actually, fun fact, I just sold off my document camera that I had to buy when I worked in brick and mortar because, you know, not every school has document cameras that they provide teachers. So, but I don't use one now. So, but I have gone on camera and done demonstrations. Like you know, actually, last year I remember there was a boy that could not make the L sound. Okay, he was saying like I think "ruh" or something. So I'm like, no, look at my mouth as I say it. And I went on the camera and I showed him my mouth and I made, you know how some people say "la" and some people say "ul." I showed him both because my goal is exposing them. And he said it back to me and it was like, oh, magic. Like, you know, and you know, he ended up being able to do that. So I don't see, yeah, if you feel like you're in the middle of a class and you want to go on the camera and you don't normally do it, why not? You know, exposure. That's the goal, you know, if it's going to help
Great.
them, you know. So, and I see that question box popping. Should I take a peek real quick before I move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to read the question just because I know some people might be on phone or something. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. If you're using Google Classroom, can you make different assignments that only certain students can see? So for like a small group, only assign it to the 3 or 4 students that you have in that group. I don't know. To be honest with you, I've had so many questions about Google Classroom, but I went to a PD 4 years ago, and honestly, that's kind of where I learned, and that's all I learned. But could you not make a lesson and just put like, name it something cutesy like, the bears, you know, if you're a bear, you know, watch the bear video. And I mean, not a video of a bear, but you know, I don't know, but I see people typing in the chat. If anybody is familiar with Google Classroom that can answer that, I can go to the chat real quick. Let me see if anybody answered that. Yes, people are saying yes, you can. You can select which students get it. Oh, there you go. And Lisa also, it gives you a choice of students. So you can assign them. Yeah, so totally. So you could give them certain videos to watch. You can make, you know, yeah, why not? Or you could send them the link, right? And actually, if you make a channel on YouTube, you can make it private. I have one, and that's honest. That's where this video is, because then that way it's unlisted, so nobody can find it unless I want them to find it. Then you know, but yeah. So okay, very good. I'm gonna put the chat away real quick, and I'm gonna go to the next question. I hope that answered it, Katrina. Okay, I'm going to go on another video. You stated that your lessons are 1 hour long. Do you create a Google slide for every different hour you meet with your students? Is it hard to keep yourself organized? Yes and no. So this is my 3rd year. So so let me give you the quickest little bit of background. Basically, before kindergarten, I taught kindergarten and before Kava. Okay, I've taught kindergarten for 3 years with Kava. And then before that, I taught kindergarten at a private school. And then before that, I taught 5th grade at a private school. So going from 5th grade to kindergarten, I didn't have a lot of crossover. I had like some books and stuff, you know, that you would move to your classroom and whatnot, but I really didn't have a lot of things that I could use again. But when I moved from kindergarten to kindergarten, even going from private to online, I was able to kind of take some of my like song links, for example, and utilize them again. I just had to change them, make them like a safe share. or Safe YouTube, which basically is like a filter so that they don't see the ads and it doesn't go to all kinds of weird videos, you know. Um, and that's what I ended up doing with that. Now with the actual PowerPoints, that first year I was working really, really hard. It took me a long time to put together beautiful PowerPoints. I would say if you have access to your textbooks online, because some, I've heard, I'm trying to think of publishers right now, but there have been several, and then honestly, Google's been my best friend. Like, don't be afraid to just type like searches into Google, there are actually PowerPoints out there that I found from other kindergarten teachers that I haven't taken and used because I'm just not, I want to make it my own. I know my own teaching style. I know how I want to present things. And I've just taken pieces and stuff from them. So don't be afraid to do that, but is it hard to stay organized? It can be, but like I have different folders. I have folders, for example, my songs, I have them by month. So I have, because I do some seasonal stuff. Um, so I have an August, September, October, November, December, etc. For my songs, but like my PowerPoints themselves for levels, I have like my below, I date everything. So in the, I can't think of it, the title of my PowerPoint, I always put a date because then that will tell me, oh, okay, I used this in April, for example, of last year. Okay, when I go to do it next year, I can look through my April slides and say, oh, okay, this is, so same thing with you guys. If you start making some now, you can say, okay, or maybe you do it by week. You're like week 1 of quarantine, week 2 of quarantine, or but I suggest dates and just making different folders. And then you could always have a notebook and write it down. There's no shame in that. I do a lot of handwritten notes because doing everything digitally, at least for me, is not practical. And yeah, I'm always digital, but there's so many things I don't do digitally as well. Yes, you can assign Google Classroom. Okay, super. So I think everything got answered. So yay. All right, I'm gonna go off of it and I'll go back to where I was. So yeah, so this is a video, consider making, and it doesn't have to be a minute long, it can be, 30 seconds. It can be longer too. Just keep in mind, would they want to watch you talk for that long? And then we talked yesterday, maybe you don't, like, I'm not in this video at all. My hand is, but you could use a puppet. You could use, wear a funny mask or wig. I know somebody that uses Snapchat filters. It really is up to you how you're comfortable. That's kind of the goal. Okay, so then with that being said, uh-oh, was this my last? Oh, nope. It just would not go. Okay, so my math, so to go back to my math lesson, but maybe not yours, right? It's a video of people taking a trip in 2 cars, right? I'm focusing on the addition word problems, but if I wanted to use the video again, let's say next year my students have no issues with addition word problems, but I want to talk about, maybe I want to utilize it as how to make a video to show me, show me a skill that look, this is something that I did to show you, now you show me something. You could have students even do that, reply back to you with videos on a concept. That could even be a way of assessing, right? Or checking for a quick understanding. I then would make a video on my whiteboard. So I've had lots of people ask, how do you do this? There are so many ways. You have to just kind of be creative. If you don't have a whiteboard, you could use a piece of scratch paper, right? You could use like a gallon size plastic bag, like, you know, that you store like food in or whatnot, and put a piece of paper in it, put a file folder, a book, a magazine, something hard, and right on top of it with the dry erase marker, and it will erase, you know. You could even use an online program. There are a lot of them. I would just Google something like online whiteboard free. And there's, yeah, there are plenty. We talked about it yesterday, actually. I'm trying to think of the name of the one that we focused on. It was, yeah, I just cannot remember the name of it. But yeah, and then, you know, paint. You guys may even remember using paint. You know, if you type in the left-hand corner on the bottom of your computer into the search, you type paint, you may still have a paint program, and you could write or type, and you could share that, and you could share it using you know, making a video. You could use Flipgrid. You could, you know, take a screenshot and email it back if you have Snip on your computer. If you're not sure if you have Snip, you could also type in the search, lower have, you know, wherever the search is on your computer, and type Snip. Or somebody, I think it was on Apple, it was is it Capture? It might be. But yeah, and we were talking about Screencast-O-Matic yesterday, or Screencastify, and those are websites that can actually record what you're doing on your screen. So that could be another way to share. And then I give feedback. You know, do I give feedback right away? Like they send me a video or they send me work and I send it right back to, no. I always tell them I have anywhere from 24 to 48 hours because I want to be able to thoroughly look through it or evaluate it or enjoy it, you know, depending on what you're asking them to do. So kind of putting that positive, that's something too I've learned with online. You don't know, I mean, obviously what we're all going through right now, but you also during regular times do not know what goes on in their house. So you can be that very positive, upbeat, happy thing for them to just have, you know. So yeah, staying positive is real big on this. And if you mess up, you mess up. You know, it's okay. It's not the end. Go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
So Angela, Cindy in the Q&A wrote down that the what you talked about yesterday was called EduCrate.
Thank you.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Cindy, you are awesome. Thank you for.
So can they just Google that, or is that www educations or?
You know what? It's funny. It was something that Karen uses. So I want to say it was .com. Let me. Oh no, I can't get out. Let me see if I could get out of this real quick, and I'll. Oh nope, it's not letting me. Sorry, guys. I want to say it's educreations.com. .com. Yes, it is .com. So yeah. But see, even, I mean, yeah, that, yeah. Okay, sorry, I was looking at that. There you go, Lisa. Thank you so much. So did it get rid of, I think it got rid of my screen sharing, huh? All right, let me go back to it real quick. Where was it?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Where did it go? Oh, I know why. Okay, see, and this is something too that play around, guys, because one of the things that I think I've learned is don't be afraid to just kind of to like, you're not going to kill your computer. You know, where did it go? I lost it. No, it's there. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. I found it. Sorry. Oh, there we go. I'm not seeing to be honest with you guys. I don't use slides a whole lot. I use PowerPoint. So I use slides because I was kind of asked to, which, you know, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, it's yeah. I'm trying to figure out where it went on here though. Oh, you know what? I know what I did wrong. There we go. Okay, I'm going back. Here we go. All right. So yeah, so then there you go. And again, like I said, I would even tell them 24 to 48 hours or whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay. And then there are ways you can record your lesson, and sorry, see there it is, Educreations. You know, or have the students, you know, record works. And actually this is Karen, one of the other she works for CTA. She shared her daughter actually using Educreation. So I'm going to show this really quickly. I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay.
Okay, so let's explain this. So Electra, can you draw? Let's write some numbers. Can you write the number 2?
Yeah, we can just hear it. We can't see it.
Oh, okay. So hold on one sec. Let me see if I can share it. Go back. There it goes. I'm glad you said something. Okay. Oh, I know why. Okay. I got to go back to where I was. That's why. Okay, pause share and then resume share. And I'll tell you this too, like with Zoom, for example, I've done, I think, like over 300 meetings in my 3 years. And I just started learning more about it in the last year and a half. It's not something that I use to teach with. I use it for meetings. So, yeah, and you may find that with some tools, you may just use, you know, certain tools for meetings, or if you, yeah. Anyway, all right. Sorry, I'm just yapping on as I try to find where I was. I just lost it. Stop share. Okay, it's not. Oh, there we go. Okay, I know what I did wrong now. Oh, sorry guys. I've been in I've been in a thing like this before where the person was like, "What's going on?" There it is. Okay, so now I share it with you guys. Yes. Okay, here we go. Should do it.
Oh, that looks very close. I think you have it backwards. So it's like this.
That's not
Or like this. Yes, it's like that. Can you write that for me? Here, let's do a different color. You write it in blue. So it looks, so can you write it like this one? Good job. That looks this.
All right. Could you guys see that? It's working okay?
Yes, we
Okay.
saw it. Yeah.
So, okay.
So this is something you use to participate, have your students?
Well, not me, but that's something that Karen had shared that was a way that you could, you know, with education. So it's basically like an online whiteboard. So when I teach, I actually teach off a platform called Blackboard. And I'm in Blackboard, and it has a whiteboard. It has a place for me to upload sites. So it's different. So I mean, if you're using Blackboard, I could tell you all kinds of things about Blackboard, but we were looking at kind of more, you know, what is out there to help more people, because that's honestly been the kind of, I don't, for lack of a word, crazy thing about this is that so many people are using so many different things. But at the same time, it's kind of cool because, like, I'll be, you know, I've had to step out of my box a lot because I want to help, you know. You know, I want to help. So okay, let me go back then. I think I had like one. I didn't have many slides left. Maybe it did. I don't know. Let me see. Where'd it go? Sorry, guys. Here we go. Okay, I'm probably making people motion sickness, or giving them motion sickness. All right.
I think you need to share it because it's not on.
No, there it is.
Okay.
So anyway, you could even have them, share with you back, right? You could tell students, and if I were to, okay, so for example, with Educreations, I would almost make a video, and I would say, look, guys, this is Educreations. We can use it to share work. When you go to it, type in the, like, I would give them the most baby steps. I would almost, so I've had 80-year-old grandparents at home, non-technology whizzes by any means, okay? They've told me this. Stay home with these kids to do their online learning. I would pretend that you have an 80-year-old grandma in front of you that has no knowledge of the internet whatsoever. I wouldn't say, make it any less, but I would give that extra explanation that maybe you wouldn't normally give, and think of your students. If you think of any kids this day and age, they usually can pick it up so quick. So that's something to consider too, that the student might be watching. And actually, you could even direct the student. Most of my students by this time in the school year, I want to say most of them are sitting at the computer alone with me in class. So they're able to maneuver it. Now we've had, what is it? No, more than that, like 8 months almost, 7 months. And so they've had that practice, but is it something that your kids couldn't do? No, I think they could do it. Why, just give them that kind of training or guidance. Okay, anyway, so I'll go to the next one. Sorry, guys. So use what you can. Oops, just kidding. Use what you can. Okay, so again, and I didn't realize I included this twice, so I apologize. But if you have that gallon-sized storage bag, a piece of paper, a dry erase marker, a file folder, make your whiteboard that way. Make a video of yourself just showing that. If you go to the store when you go get your toilet paper, right? Ask the butcher for butcher paper. I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be something that you could do. If you explain, hey, I'm a teacher, blah blah blah. Cardboard. I know right now you probably don't want to go hunting for cardboard because of all the germs and everything else. But if you had something to delivered to your house, or if you have something at your house already, I even know of a teacher that was writing on her shower wall. I know that sounds silly, but are they going to know that you're in there? Not necessarily. If you keep the video very small and tight, they really wouldn't know, right? So just very creative. And it's okay to step out of the classroom, or if you are allowed in your classroom, you know what I would almost do too? If you're allowed back to your classroom, if they told you you have 10 minutes to grab whatever you could, I would almost make myself a list now and say, okay, what would I grab that would be most efficient to use at home, to make a video or to use in a video or to use, for that purpose. So, okay. And then Flipgrid is just another way to have students share work, right? You could share stuff with them, it could even not necessarily be work, but it could be a hello or just checking in, or maybe you want to read them a story, it really kind of depends, but I think that's it that I have. So I don't know. I see questions. I know a lot of people logged off. So I don't know if I rambled on a lot. Oh, people did. Okay, so people did attend yesterday's. Yes, okay. Yes, Educreations. You signed up for Educreations yesterday but couldn't find the whiteboard. It looks like Google Classroom. Was I in the right place? Let's see. I will take a look right now. Looks like Google Classroom. It should look like, let me see if I'll share my screen again for you. Oops, where'd it go? Sorry. Did it look like this? Oh, I just saw the chat went away. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, okay. She's just so Lillian, did it look like this? No, not Lillian. Who was it? Sorry. How do you get to the whiteboard? Okay, to get to the whiteboard, so don't have, let me see. I'm going to sign up because I actually, well, can't do that with you guys. Let me see if they even have something. So if you click examples, which is at the top, you can actually, like I said, the other person who was helping me yesterday, this was kind of their thing. Okay, how do you get to the whiteboard? Okay, you know what? Oh, just got rid of the chat. Sorry, guys. Let me go back to it. No worries, I'll explore. I'm so sorry, Sasha. You know, I'll tell you right now, if I were you guys on the other side, and actually I'm probably going to end up looking into this just because I'm curious, I would even go to YouTube and type in Educreations whiteboard or Google it, because I guarantee there's some teacher out there. You know, us teachers, we want to help each other, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So there's probably some resource out there, especially right now. Think of it that way. Everybody's home, right? Well, for the most part. So yeah. Oh, your flash is out. Yeah. So okay, you know what? Let me go over that really, really quick too. I'm finding a lot of people are having issues with some of these programs because either they're okay, so your cookies and your cache, CACHE, those aren't cleared, and then your Flash may be out of date, or your Java. So it sounds silly, but it's always good to kind of rule it out. And then you're like, oh, it works now. So if something doesn't show up or pop up or look right, try doing one of those things. And if you're not sure how to do it on your computer, I send you back to Google. Just type in, how do I clear my cache? How do I clear my cookies? How do I download Java? Because that's honestly, it's going to be somewhere. So
yeah, hopefully the districts have their IT folks.
Yes.
Available, at least
Your
by
tech
phone.
person.
You might want to check. Yeah.
Or like yesterday, I was telling everybody, I used to be that teacher that would go and stay in my classroom and either help students or have my quiet moments by myself during recess. Do not do that. You are at home. Please reach out have your quiet moments and everything, but please reach out to, like, if you know people who are more techie and you've never reached out to them before, reach out. Don't be afraid to bug people at this time. Like, that's what you got to do. That's what's going to be best for you and best for your students. So yeah, and I bother my principal and my fellow teachers all the time. We actually have a Skype that so our grade level, we have a Skype, and we share resources, we share ideas, we vent, we talk about different activities, so even just putting together some sort of Skype even might help you guys, or a chat, just teachers. And okay, and then Katrina says she's the IT person for the school, and she uses Google and YouTube to find many answers too. Yeah, that's what it's there for. So okay, I'm gonna stop sharing just because we're getting down to that point. I'm gonna go back to the questions. I don't think anything was new. But did anybody have any other questions or anything? I think that was it. That's all I had. So
Okay, well, thank you, Angela, for sharing, all your tips and resources. We really appreciate
I
that.
hope it was helpful for you.
And like I put in the chat, you all can access this presentation and other previous recorded webinars at the website, cta.org/IPD trainings. And if you need help with Zoom, tomorrow we're doing a training specifically on Zoom. Oh, it looks like one more question popped up. Or is that just, oh, Barbara said thank you. So
I took care of
you're
it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, well, everyone have a good evening. Thank you, Angela.
Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Bye. Take care.